I know everybody, likes reality shows, but we have an issue here in Los Angeles. The amount of production has really dropped considerably, and
Hmm.
part of it is that stuff has gone out of town. I mean, they're doing it in other cities and other countries. So we
Okay.
try to support the scripted shows because they're the ones that hire actors, and that's what we do for a living. I got nothing against reality shows, but we just don't watch them. We're trying to support the business here in Los Angeles and wherever.
Yeah, I feel like because a lot of reality shows can just be based in whatever area, and they're just hiring anybody that's gonna
Yeah,
get the ratings up. You know what I
yeah.
mean? They're not really hiring
Netflix,
actors.
Netflix and Prime Video, and then they'll go wherever. Apple TV, they'll go wherever they need to do the shows. I mean, back in the day, most of the shows were either here or in New York.
True.
That's just where all the production facilities were. Nowadays, you can go anywhere, and they do. So it makes it harder for actors who are based in Los Angeles to make a living. In New York, they do a lot more theater, paid theater. We do theater here, but it tends to be like community theater, and you don't get paid very much. So you got to make a living, got to buy that bread.
Hey, what's up, anime fans? It's your boy, Raysean from the Raysean Gadson Anime Podcast, or RGAP for short. And on today's episode, we're sitting down with a special guest, the legendary voice actor Steve Kramer. You may know him from iconic roles in Naruto, Bleach, Dragon Ball, Cowboy Bebop. Join us as we dive deep into the world of voice acting, exploring Steve's personal journey, his incredible achievements, and uncovering the story behind his anime career. We'll also share some tips for anybody out there trying to get into voice acting. If that sounds interesting to you, then sit back and enjoy the ride.
Really gone and done a number on us this time. If this leads to Beerus going all out in his battle with Goku, do you have any idea what that'll mean for the rest of us? For the rest of the universe? Buzz off! I'm your Supreme Elder! Show some respect!
Ninja art, Kyle Shuriken! Stop your little act, Orochimaru. Never in my entire life did I imagine I would have to face off against my brethren in this manner. You demon. They look just the same as I remember.
All right, then. It's time to let go of the end of the rope. Bankai. Katen Kyokotsu. Karamatsu Shinju. Does the world appear any different to you now than it did before? A little more dark and lonely, maybe? More full of despair?
Before we get started, I just want to allow my guests the opportunity to introduce themselves, tell everybody what you do and where you're from, and also tell us your top 2 favorite sitcoms and why. And also on this episode, we have a co-host, so I'm going to let him introduce himself after our guests.
Hi, I'm Steve Kramer, and you want to know my favorite sitcoms? I'm older than you guys, so my first favorite sitcom is Seinfeld.
Okay, I know
Oh, yeah.
Seinfeld.
Absolutely. And I think the next one after that probably would have been Friends, if you've ever heard of that one. So,
Okay.
Yeah, these are back a ways, And then what was the next thing you wanted me to do?
Basically, tell everybody what you do and where you're from.
Yeah.
Where you're from.
I am here in Los Angeles, where most of the people who do this work have lived and worked for. I've been in this business for the last 40 years.
Mhm.
Actually, a little more than that. But I started out doing on-camera stuff. So I have some on-camera credits. Shows like Golden Girls and Desperate Housewives and a bunch of others. I did about 30 shows. And actually,
Wow.
I would have to grab my resume to remember because I don't remember them now because it was ways back. And somewhere in there, I started to get involved in voiceover, and that took over. I mean, I still audition for on-camera stuff when I can find it, but voiceover was it's what's I've made my living doing voiceover for 35, 40 years. And
Okay.
somewhere in there, I gravitated toward anime. And so that means I was there when anime first got started in America. When
Wow.
it really just began. Um,
Dang,
and I
okay.
think the first show that actually hit, the first show that was popular was a thing called Robotech. And I don't know if you guys have even heard of it. You know,
I've heard of Robotech.
we're talking about mid to late 80s when Robotech came along. And the guy that came up with that was named Carl Masick, and he had the idea to take 3 Japanese series. One was called Macross, and one was called Mospida, and I can't remember the third one. And he put them all together, and we did it for, oh my gosh, we must have recorded on that for 6 or 8 months, I think. And that was the first big popular anime series. And after that, it was like the floodgates opened. You know, suddenly anime became extremely popular, and here we are, you know, 40 years later, and there's just a flood of titles that have come out, some of which I worked on.
Sure, for sure. What about you, Kevin? Go ahead, introduce yourself, and then tell us your top 2
Hey,
sitcoms.
hey guys, it's Kevin from the Culture Anime Podcast, where me and Raysean has done multiple reviews when it comes to Boruto and then a bunch of other anime as well too. As for my favorite sitcoms, I'm gonna go with the French Prince of Bel Air and The Office.
Okay. Oh, everyone loves The Office. I'm a big Office fan. I need to go back and rewatch. But for my 2 favorite sitcoms, I had to choose. It took me a second to choose because I did have Fresh Prince on mine too. But I was like, I don't know if I was really a Fresh Prince fan. I like Will Smith, but I'm not for sure if I was a Fresh Prince fan. I had to choose Martin. I think the Martin Show is amazing, and I chose Tyler Perry House of Pain. It's another great show. It's a great mix of comedy, real life issues, and strong family themes. So if anybody looking for anything like that, you guys should check them out. Okay, I think we all picked some decent shows. I need to go back and watch Friends. That kind of remind me because I was just watching Scream, and man, she play. I think the person that plays Monica plays the news reporter in Scream. Now, before we jump into our questions, I just want to ask you guys what you've recently been watching or listening to or playing. Any recommendations for anybody? I'll let you go first, Kevin.
I just finished watching The Godfather 1 and 2, and wow, it was the first time I watched those shows, and to this day, I'm still talking about Vito Corleone. The actor that played him was truly phenomenal. Like, you felt his presence on the screen. Every time he was on the screen, you just sit back and just watch him act. It was truly phenomenal. And The Godfather 2 with Al Pacino, running everything was truly phenomenal. I loved it, enjoyed it. I'm mad at myself that it took me till 2025 to watch The Godfather, but definitely a great movie.
I feel you on that. I personally have seen clips, but I haven't watched the movie full out. So I'm on the same bandwagon as you. But since you've watched it, you're a little bit ahead of me. So I need to go ahead and check that out myself. What about you, Steve? Have you watched The Godfather?
Oh my God, yes. Ask me how many times. I can't remember. That is one of the most brilliant movies that I've ever seen in my life. Francis Ford Coppola was an absolute genius when he did that movie. Marlon Brando, who played Vito Corleone, was incredible. In fact, all the actors were incredible in that. They were just so natural, and it was a wonderful story. You know, you were just captivated by the characters, and I guess I may have seen the thing 10 times over the years. I may have watched it 10 times. It just I never get tired of watching it. It's it's brilliant movie.
Definitely check that out.
I've been watching. My wife and I have been getting on cable and watching a number of different shows. We've been watching Reacher. I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
I've seen Reacher.
Bosch is interesting to us. We like The Rookie. We like Chicago.
Oh, The Rookie's good. I like the Rookie.
Rookie's fun. And we've been watching something called Warehouse 13, which I think was aired back in 2012 or something, and we never watched it then, so we've been watching it now. Very, very interesting show.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Well, for me, I've been just like you watching a lot of cable TV recently because my streaming service been acting up and I need to get my accounts fixed. But I've been trying to watch True TV and I've been watching some older shows like South Beach Tow and I think it was Pawn Stars and something about storage units and stuff like that. And it just surprises me how I just got lost into the shows. I watched these shows a long time ago, and then a lot of the situations on there, you can kind of tell they kind of be fake. But I just find them to be interesting because they had a moment recently while I was watching it. They had this tow driver. Her name was Bernice, and she was trying to tow this car, and then somehow I guess she got into an accident and then fell off a 2-floor building. No. And you would think like, okay, they need to call an ambulance or no, she gets up like nothing happened, comes back and tows the car. I'm like, oh,
I seen that clip. You're talking about that. That was funny.
I'm like, this is Hercules. Like, if you can do that, this might be the wrong profession for you.
Jeez. Out here in this community, in the acting community, I know everybody, likes reality shows, but we have an issue here in Los Angeles. The amount of production has really dropped considerably, and part of it is that stuff has gone out of town. I mean, they're doing it in other cities and other countries. So we try to support the scripted shows because they're the ones that hire actors, and that's what we do for a living. I got nothing against reality shows, but we just don't watch them. We're trying to support the business here in Los Angeles and wherever.
Yeah, I feel like because a lot of reality shows can just be based in whatever area, and they're just hiring anybody that's gonna get the ratings up. You know what I mean? They're not really hiring actors.
Netflix and Prime Video, and then they'll go wherever. Apple TV, they'll go wherever they need to do the shows. I mean, back in the day, most of the shows were either here or in New York.
True.
That's just where all the production facilities were. Nowadays, you can go anywhere, and they do. So it makes it harder for actors who are based in Los Angeles to make a living. In New York, they do a lot more theater, paid theater. We do theater here, but it tends to be like community theater, and you don't get paid very much. So you got to make a living. Got to buy that bread.
Yeah, I feel that. Especially with the rising cost of everything, and you don't know what they're doing in the White House anymore. I don't want to make it political, but
get me started.
But we're going to go ahead and jump into our questions. For my first question I want to ask you is, I wanted to ask you about your experience voicing Hiruzen, the third Hokage in Naruto. How did you land that role, and what was it like portraying such a strong leadership figure?
What's interesting, by the time Naruto came along, I was writing and directing a number of anime shows. And the people at the studio that did that said, do you want to write and direct on it? And I said, sure, absolutely. And when we started having auditions for it, they said, if you see a character that you want to audition for, just throw yourself in the mix. I wasn't the one that picked me. Maybe I would have picked me. I like to work. But somebody else picked me. So they did like my voice for that character. And, we played him kind of a little bit scratchy. He's a little bit deep, a little bit scratchy. And he was a very wise man, of course. But we just started doing it. The advantage to having me be the Hokage was I was already in the studio directing. They didn't have to bring somebody else in to do the session. I was already there. And I enjoyed that character a lot. We did over 750 episodes. I mean, I think the only show that has more episodes in the can is One Piece.
Yes.
And they've done over probably, well, I know they've done over 1,000, but they're still doing them. I think they're
Yeah,
still
they
doing
trying
them.
to reach 2.
I think it's at
I
1100 right now.
They're at 1100.
Yeah.
1100. That's incredible.
Just
Yeah.
imagine getting the main cast on that one. That's a whew.
Yeah,
That's
that would be a good
keep
one.
getting
But they're
paid
not
for.
doing it. Not doing it in Los Angeles. By the time One Piece came along, they had moved it to Texas. So I think they're doing it in either Dallas or Houston or something. So they're not going to hire somebody from Los Angeles to come in and do that. Although these days, I think they could hire people from anywhere. It's all, they can do it remote. They've got the technology. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're from Pennsylvania, Ohio, and California right now. So
That's right.
the technology's out there.
They can do it anywhere.
So I got a question. So how do you feel about his relationship with Naruto?
Well, he's supposed to be his teacher, So the guy that was it the guy? No, it wasn't the guy. It was the girl. I think Miley Flanagan plays Naruto. Am I correct?
Yep,
Yeah,
you're right.
I thought she did. So we never were in the studio at the same time together. So my relationship with Naruto was entirely long distance. Because what happens is we started out when we first started doing this stuff, we would bring 4 or 5 actors in together and have them do their scenes where they're working off of each other. That lasted about 2 months because you get a couple of actors or 4 actors or 5 actors in a room together, they are going to mess up and joke around and carry on, and they're not going to get anything done. So we figured out that this isn't going to work. And so what happened was now we bring in 1 actor at a time and does his lines, and that's it. And it's very efficient. And each line is called a loop when we're recording. And sometimes a loop is more than 1 line. And they hope to get at least 30 loops an hour. When they had all the actors in the room together, they used to get 10 loops an hour because everybody was carrying on. Everybody would joke with everybody else, so that and they joke with the engineer and they joke with the director. It was fun, but nothing was getting done. So nowadays, they do it more efficiently. So I never got to work with Miley in the studio. It would always be I'm either she recorded first or I recorded first, and then they'd play the line to the actor so that they could hear what they were bouncing off of. But we never got to be in the same room together. I've been in the same room with her at a convention. That's as close as we've gotten.
So when you say you also directed, so was that not all through Naruto, or was that just Naruto the beginning, or was that Shippuden too?
Well, it's hard for me to remember now. I think it was, I know it was through the beginning of Naruto. It might have been into Shippuden too, as I recall.
Okay.
But it's hard for me to remember. There's been a lot of stuff. When I go to conventions and stuff, I have to bring a resume with me of what I've done because I forget. Because
I can understand. You've been on a lot of things.
40 years, I know. And I pull out the resume, and it's 8 pages single-spaced, and not everything's on there. And I'm going, you see why I have a problem remembering all this stuff? It's a lot of water under the bridge. So I'm sure I was in Shippuden for some of it. I'm not sure I did all of it.
Yeah.
If the Hokage was in all of Shippuden, I recorded him, but I don't think I directed the whole thing.
Okay. Well, I remember. Yeah. I know Hiruzen comes back towards the end of Shippuden. Do you have any questions, Kevin?
Yes. So, what was your favorite line or moment playing Hiruzen in Naruto?
Too many lines to remember. But I pulled some lines for when I go to these conventions, and so that I have some quotes that I can put on stuff when I sign if I need to. Oh, that's cool. And there was a couple of call-outs that I did, and now I don't have them in front of me. You guys probably know them better than I do. Phooey. I've got them right here in my closet, but I have to go grab them to tell you what the lines were, but they were fun lines when I did them. There were call outs like, darn.
I'm trying to think if I can think of any Hiruzen lines. Give me a second.
If you give me 2 seconds, I'll grab the lines. I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, you can
right here. Hold on.
Give you a few seconds.
See, I have to come prepared. I was unprepared.
Oh. You are all fine.
All right, I like that. Oh yeah, this is the one. Ceiling Jupiter. It's Jupiter. Oh, there you go. I already blew it. Ceiling Jutsu Reaper Death Seal. I used to call that out all the time. Fire Style Dragon Flame Bomb.
Nice.
Oh, you can hear it when you're talking.
Yes.
Now you remember. Now I remember.
Okay. Moving to my next question, I want to ask you: what's the main reason that got you into acting, and what made you want to explore voice acting?
It's a good question because before I got into acting, when I got out of college and I was kicking around, I ended up in news, in documentary. I ended up working as an assistant in a newsroom, and that was interesting stuff. I worked at the local CBS outlet in Los Angeles. Back then it was called KNXT, and eventually I ended up at a place called KHJ Channel 9, and I was a news producer back then. I did that for about a year and a half. And when I left there, I had saved some money, and I started a print shop with a partner. This is weird. This is all how you prepare to be an actor. You go into printing and news. I did the print shop for a couple of years, and then we closed. Actually, we had a fire. We got burned out. So we closed down, and I had to decide what I wanted to do. And I said, all right, you know what? I've always had an interest in acting. I acted in high school and in college a little bit in theater. And so I decided I would try and see if I could, become an actor in Los Angeles. I mean, certainly this is the place if you're going to try it. There's opportunities. And before I actually got into on-camera stuff, before I got an agent and was booking on-camera stuff, I started to do some voiceover, but it wasn't like the focus of what I was doing. We're going in and doing screams and grunts and God knows what for karate films. They needed people to do the fight scenes and stuff. And you'd go in there for 6 or 8 hours and you'd walk out and you just couldn't talk anymore because you had no voice left. you gave it all out, killing people and knocking them down and getting knocked down yourself, So, I of course much prefer to be on camera. Who wouldn't? If you're going to be an actor, you prefer to do that. Although I have some friends who only are interested in voice acting. This is all they ever wanted. One guy came here from New Jersey, I think, and was introduced to me and my wife. And his whole dream was to be a voice actor, to do cartoons and things. And he did it. He made it. He made it. He's doing them. He's doing real well. That was not my dream, but this was my reality. Voice acting paid the bills, so that's what I ended up doing.
Okay. You got another question, Kevin?
Yes, with you attending many conventions, what is like hearing back from fans, especially when they're a big fan of characters you voice?
I love them. I love the fans. I love that they are that they like the characters and they like the voice and all of that. they sometimes they'll do the same thing you were doing. Is that they'll come up and ask me something specific, and I don't know one actor that does this that doesn't dread that moment because you don't remember. It's the truth. And they'll say, in episode 13 of Naruto, at 5 minutes and 32 seconds, you said, I said, I did? Really?
You'd be like,
They
damn.
know, they know these shows inside and out. They know them better than I do. Because, it was
They grew up on it.
I know this, and I have to respect the fact that they love it so much, that it meant so much to them. And, but maybe they don't quite get it, that it was a job for us. And for them, it's a passion.
Yes.
For us, it was a job. We love doing it. I still love doing it when I can get a job. But it wasn't an obsession or a passion like it is for them, because they really do know the shows inside and out, a lot of them, much better than we do, because this is what they're focused on. What we were focused on was we wanted to get enough money to eat. They're focused on, they love the show.
See, sometimes I think people get confused and think, they're just the voice. They're not the character. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm not talking
Yes.
to the third Hokage for real.
Yes, we do this it is a job. We do this as a job. It's a passion. People who do this don't always make very much money. Certainly not at the beginning. And, they do it because this is what they're called to do in life. This is their passion. They want to act, and they want to inhabit these characters. And for the fans, they're focused on the character, and we're focused on doing the whole job and finding another job. Let's do one after this. Let's keep it going.
I see. Well, my next question, I want to ask you about your next big role, and that's in Bleach. You play Shunsui Kyoraku.
Kyoraku.
I'm glad
I had to learn how to pronounce it too. I don't always get it. Shunsui Kyoraku. And I've been doing him for, I guess, we've done probably 350 to 400 shows, and we're still doing it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I thought we were done, but we are not. 1,000-Year Blood War is still being recorded. We have been doing it in sections. We did, they call them cours. There's like a first, second, third, and fourth cour.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done 3, and we haven't done the fourth cour yet. I have not been called in yet. They're still recording it, or they're getting ready to record it. So I expect to get called any time now to come in and finish it. So I remind the fans of that when they come to the conventions. I said, we're not done yet. And they said, we know. Because they know the whole show. They know better than I do. So they, I don't know exactly when that's going to happen, to tell you the truth. I don't know what the holdup is, or why it hasn't already been recorded and sent out. I know Shunsui's in it. He's got to be in it.
Yeah, for sure. He's the
He
next.
showed his Bankai at the end of the third cour.
That was amazing.
How did you like
that was amazing.
voicing that?
That was interesting.
That was one of his first big fights I think he's really had. He had another one in earlier Bleach, but this was like the biggest fight you've seen since his father figure died. So it was kind of cool to see him kind of take that role.
Yeah, I love the character. He's fun. He's funny sometimes. His relationship with Nanao is interesting. When I go to these conventions, one of the things that every guy that goes to these things is hoping for is that there'll be a toy of their character. And I actually have 3 characters that I've done that do have toys. I was the original dragon in Dragon Ball. I was Shenron the dragon in Dragon Ball. And
okay, I didn't know that.
Well,
I know you was Elder Kai. I didn't know you was the first.
Oh yeah, I was the Elder Kai. The Elder Kai, this guy that Lech, the one that keeps grabbing women's boobies. That guy, old Supreme Kai. I was him, but I was also Shenron the dragon, and the dragon had toys out. You've probably seen them. There's a big Funko, like a 10-inch Funko, and then a couple of small ones. There's a gold dragon, a green dragon, and the 10-inch one is multicolored. And then the Hokage, they released a toy. I have one here.
Oh, okay.
This is I'm trying to get the
third Hokage.
Oh, nice.
This is the third Hokage, and so he's got a toy. Thank goodness. I take them out. The other character that I've got is this is from a game called Fallout 4. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I heard of Fallout.
You heard of Fallout? This is a character called Glowing One, or the Glowing One, and there were several of these characters, and I'm one of those. So
I'm surprised Kyoraku doesn't got one.
That what I was just about to tell you was my frustration. I have been in touch with Funko a couple of times, and some other people have been in touch with them, and they keep saying, "Yeah, we're probably going to put one out," and they haven't done it. So I want all the people that are listening to this show to write Funko and tell them to release that toy. I know they're thinking about it. That I'm captain of the 13 Court Guard Squad, and they've released other captains of other guard squad leaders. They've got several of those that are out, but they haven't released Shunsui, and it's so frustrating.
I'm the main guy.
Yeah, I mean, what's that about? I don't know how they decide what characters to release. I
wonder if it's popularity or something.
Well, I thought Shunsui was pretty popular, so I didn't understand.
That's what I would think.
Yeah. I mean, he's been all through Bleach. He's been constant in there. The guy that books me on these things, he says, "Well, my understanding is they're going to be released." Well, he said that a year ago. We're still waiting. My understanding is they haven't released it yet. I want them to.
Just from talking to you, I can kind of tell. It seemed like Shunsui, like that's more or less your voice. Like it seemed like you're not
do anything. Yeah, Shunsui is just my regular voice. I don't have to look it up or do anything. I don't have to screech. I don't have to go home and gargle, with lemonade. Yeah, Shunsui is just my regular voice. So that makes him one of my very favorite characters because I don't get a sore throat after I do him.
Yeah, I could just tell by like certain phrases you're saying. I'm like, man, it seems like we're really talking to Shunsui right now. That's good.
Sounds like Shunsui to me. Yeah.
So, do you got any favorite moments from playing them, or any that you remember?
No, I know that he tries to be a gentleman all the time. Yeah, I kind of appreciate it. One of the things people have asked me to sign on these prints and things at conventions. I sign. It's not in my nature to get rough with women.
I like that.
I said, okay, okay, I buy that.
I'm surprised they don't get you to say his Bankai or his Shikai command, but that's probably I can't even remember what it is off the top of my.
Me either off the top of my head. So what are you gonna do?
I know it's like flower petals, flower flow, or something like that.
Flower petals. You know what? I wonder if I have them. Now you're gonna make me go in and find my Shunsui quote. See if I got. Let's see. I probably do that. Wait a minute.
That's crazy. You play two characters that end up being like the head of their universes. That's pretty cool.
And in the big three with Naruto and Bleach, all you gotta do is
I was gonna say Dragon Ball, but I forgot it's One Piece that's in the big three.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dragon Ball, Naruto, and Bleach, I thought were part of the big three, and then One Piece came along. I think it's the big four now, but those seem to be the major ones.
Well, I just picked Dragon Ball as the granddaddy. That's just the top. Nobody can really compete with Dragon Ball.
That's true. Oh, here's a quote from Shunsui. Flowers are disturbed. God of flowers weeps. Winds of heaven are disturbed. Demon of heaven laughs. Katen Kyokotsu. That's probably the thing you were thinking.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. See, I have to have a cheat sheet. Gotta have a cheat sheet, or I can't do these interviews.
But my next question: if you weren't doing voice acting, what would you be doing?
Sleeping.
I understand that.
I'm almost, I consider myself semi-retired after 40 years of doing this. I mean, I'm not retired because I'm still available to do jobs if I get hired. And I still get hired some, not like it used to be. But, it becomes, in a sense, it becomes a young man's game because they hire you for a period of years. They know what you can do. And then it sort of becomes, well, we've heard him. We need to hear some new voices. So they tend to go to younger people to try and get that. I'm still called in for older voices. I'm just not going to be called in to do a 30-year-old. So, if they've got voices in the 50 to 80-year-old range, they're going to call me to come in and try. And I don't always get it. There's a bunch of people who did this, whose voices have aged, matured, and they want to work too.
I feel like
So when I'm not doing that, I have interests around the house. My wife and I live on an acre and a half of land near Universal Studios in Hollywood.
okay.
Valley side. And we just were lucky. We found this property and it had a terrible old house on it that we ended up
Your
tearing
wife's
down.
a voice actor too, right?
She is, Melora Hart. She did this for almost as many years as I did. She's available if somebody wants to hire her too. I'm just telling you guys out there, anybody that's listening.
I got you.
But we live on this property, and it's up in the hills near Universal, near Hollywood, and it's it takes a lot of work to keep it up. And people keep saying, "Why don't you just hire somebody to do it?" And I said, "I like doing it." So I actually do a lot of this stuff around here. So I'm like I say, I'm not retired, but I'm busy doing this stuff. And I also I like to play poker.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I am a poker fanatic. I play with some guys on Thursday nights, so we've been playing for 30 years. And
Are you a big gambler, or y'all just play for fun?
no,
Or?
I am not a big gambler, but I do enjoy the game. And there's a poker club. There's many poker places. There's here in Los Angeles on the outskirts. It's not legal in Los Angeles itself, but some of these cities on the outskirts have them. And I used to go down there occasionally and play. But when you walk in there, you realize how this can be a trap, because you look around, when you walk in, you look around, you see some people that have been sitting there for 30 years. They got a cigarette hanging out of their mouth, and their skin doesn't look too good. And they look like they're about to fall asleep. And they've been sitting at those tables for 30 years because they're
They need to make that money back.
Oh man, they're obsessed. But I go, and I went down to this one club, and some friends of mine reminded me that I used to go down there probably 10 years ago. And these friends of mine, the voice guys, they say, "Well, whatever happened to that money that you had there?" I said, "What?" They said, "Don't you remember you won some money and you opened an account and you put the money in there?" I said, "What? Can you believe this?"
I'm like, we need to start heading back down there. Let's go.
All right. So I did. I said, "Oh, this is ridiculous." So I called them up at this card club and I said, "Do I have an account?" And I gave them my name. And they looked it up and they said, "Yes, you do." I said, "Is there money in there?" And they said, "Well, we can't talk about that. You have to come down here to find that out." But if you come down there, you're going to start gambling.
Yeah,
So they want you to come down. Yeah, come on down here. We'll tell you everything. So I went down there finally. I had an afternoon free and I drove down there. And they said, I had an account and there was no money in it. And I said, "Was there money in it?" And they said, "Probably, because 2 years ago they got bought out." And at that point, they said they put out an announcement on social media, that if you had an account, you needed to come down and transfer it to the new ownership, or else the money would go
Disappear.
And I never saw anything. I'm not a big social media guy anyway. I thought, well, where did you post it? Was it on like Facebook or something? I don't, Instagram? I don't know where they posted it, but the money was gone. So, I thought, phooey. And I thought maybe they went to the state to unclaim property. So I called the state and they said, "No, we don't have any money from the card club. We have some checks for you here." I said, "You do?" Yeah, they said, we have residual checks sitting here that have been here for a few years. I said, well, how much are we talking about? A lot of money? He says, well, there's about 10 checks. I said, oh my God, how much is it? He says, about $30.
Well, all the checks are.
I said, that's it. I got $30 in there. So the guy sent me a form, and I'm getting my $30. God bless it. I want my $30, but I can't find. If there was $1,000 from the card club, it's gone.
Damn.
Can't find it.
Man, that's so crazy.
What are you gonna do?
Well, I hope they would reach out to you, but they not in the business of trying
No,
to
they
give
don't
away
want
money.
no,
You know what I
no,
mean?
You got to keep track of your own money. They don't want to. They're not going to give it up to you.
Yeah, another question, Kevin?
Yeah, with you being in the industry for so many years, can you talk about how it was in the beginning? Like, was the schedule more demanding? How was the equipment? Until talk about how it is today. Is it much easier and all that stuff?
Okay. The equipment was not as sophisticated as it is now, but it was, professional level equipment. We're talking about, the best microphones. You were in sound studios that were comparable to anything that anybody else had at the studios or anywhere else in town. So even from the beginning, all the stuff was there, and it was to be used, and it was professional level stuff. That I sometimes wonder. Sometimes I hear some old shows, and to me the sound quality is just as good as anything they're doing today. So we took it seriously back then. It hasn't. I mean, certainly the equipment has improved over the years. Not just the microphones, but everything. It's just everything advances after a while. But I think we are about to enter a point where it's going to work against us instead of for us. And I'm talking about AI. And the truth is that they can manipulate voice tracks and picture to the point where we may end up being not needed anymore. Certainly not in the numbers that we have been needed. I've been sent articles by people, and even saw a video where the engineers took a character, a Japanese character, was recorded in Japan, the original actor. They took the original actor's voice, turned it into English, manipulated the mouth so that it matched the English words, and bingo, you have an English track of a Japanese show, and it's perfect. Well, what do you need the English actor for? You can sit there and do it in the studio. So what do you need the English actor for? So I fear for the future of dubbing. Because eventually it's going to be cheaper for them to hire an engineer rather than 20 actors, and do all the sessions and everything that goes with it. I hope it doesn't really come to that, to tell you the truth. I mean, I think the actors bring a certain emotion to it, experience to it, that manipulating a voice isn't necessarily going to accomplish. There's an interpretive factor of having the actor do the part. When I was doing this, I got taught on the writing. I got taught by a guy that was brilliant, I thought. He understood vocal dynamics. He understood mouth movements. And I tell people this when I go to conventions, if it matters to them. There's only 3 letters in the English alphabet where your lips touch when you say the letter. Can you tell me what the 3 letters are?
M.
M?
O? No. My lips didn't even touch when I did that. M.
When you say O.
P?
Yep, that's one of them.
Oh, is M not one?
M is one. M,
okay,
B, M, B, and P.
So I got 2 of them.
That's right. And those are called bilabials. When you actually, in speech dynamics, when you say those letters in there, if they're in a word, you say the word boy, you start by hitting the B in your mouth, your lips touch, boy. If you're looking, and there's 2 letters in the English alphabet where your lower lip hits your front teeth when you say them. And those are called fricatives of all things. Can you think of what those 2 are?
S.
No, not S.
Z.
Nope.
Damn.
Your lower lip hits your front teeth.
It's a letter.
But there's 2 of them.
D.
Which one?
D.
Not B. That's the.
I'm saying
the
D, like as in
No,
dog.
not D. No. No.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to tell it to you because we'll all fall asleep while we listen. The first one is F.
F. Yep.
F.
Okay.
Your lower lip hits your front teeth, and the other one is V.
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 F. V.
Lower lip hits your front teeth, and those are called fricatives. And when you're looking at a picture, whether it's animation or live action, and you're watching those mouths move, eventually the lips are going to touch. Doesn't matter what language it is, if it's Japanese or Russian or Korean, eventually the lips will touch. If you can manipulate the words in a sentence so that you have an M, B, or P sound when those lips hit, and the sentence still makes sense, that's brilliant. You've got a level of production that you don't get normally. It's too hard. Now, this guy taught me, and he was, like I said, he was brilliant. He knew how to do this, and I eventually learned how to do it. But I only know 3 other guys that know how to do that. There's probably a few more now, but it's so hard that most people just don't even try. And it's nearly impossible to get 100%. But if you can get 70% coverage of those mouth movements, the audience stops watching the mouth. They stop getting that feeling that nothing quite fits. They stop watching the mouth and they start listening to the dialogue and watching the movie. It's amazing. When you see a really good, well-written dub, it's like you don't even notice that it's not English, or that the actors weren't speaking English when they started. And that's very hard to do. But in AI, they can manipulate the stuff so that it all fits. So they can get 100% coverage. That's great in terms of the final product, but it doesn't do the dubbers any good because they're not needed, you know.
So do you think
writers? They might still need writers because you still got to have the script. You got to have an English script. And I've seen translations of all kinds of languages: Japanese, Korean, Russian, Yugoslavian, whatever. And sometimes the translation is nearly unintelligible. You can't put English in the mouth and say, "Into the woods we will be going," because that doesn't make any sense. So you have to be able to write, we're going into the woods, but it has to fit in the mouth as much as possible. And that's such a hard thing that a number of studios have given up trying to cover it. They just say, you know what, just write the sense of the sentence, and the audience will be okay with it. Some audiences are, I happen to be a little more critical, but sometimes audiences just don't care as long as they hear the voice and they see they know what the action is about in English. Now I've bored everybody with all the technical stuff of how this stuff works.
No, because when it comes to AI, like I feel like it can be helpful in the health industry, the logistics field, but you can't take away from music, voice acting, and movies, because you can't give them that emotional voicing like you guys said earlier. Like when it comes to AI, when it comes to that field, it's going to be horrendous, because eventually people don't understand, okay, that's not really Steve, that's AI. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's scary how we're going.
I agree with you. I think that the actors bring a certain sense to the words and the action that you can't get very easily through AI. But they're going to keep developing AI. It's going to keep getting better and better to the point where I'm afraid actors aren't going to be needed for something like this.
Well, you
They're
won't
not
be
gonna
able to tell.
replace them. Huh?
I said in a minute, you probably won't be able to tell.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's the
what
scary
I'm worried
thing.
about. That's what I'm worried about. It'll take years, but the opening shots have been fired. So in a way, I'm glad that I'm not starting out in this business.
Do you think it's possible for y'all to be able to work with AI, like for them to be able to integrate AI with voice actors?
I'm just not sure how that would work. I mean, it's possible that they still would need an English actor to come in and recite the lines, and then manipulate the voice track to fit the mouth, or they manipulate the mouth to fit the voice track eventually. So I think there's going to be a transition period where they're just going to need actors to bring some emotional content to the lines. But I'm afraid that eventually, the audience may not be critical enough to demand that, and then AI will just take over, and they're going to try and do it without actors.
Yeah.
I hate the idea that it might happen, but I can see a future where it could happen.
Yeah, I've always been kind of afraid of that, but I was trying to come up with ways like where they can be able to integrate it. Because I was thinking like when you watch like Pokemon, you get to see a lot of the Pokemons in the background make a lot of noise, and I was like, maybe they can have AI do a lot of that background noise and stuff, and then have like voice actors do all the main parts and stuff like that, where they can still save money, I guess, on that, but also still keeping the show itself. You know what I mean?
Well, they might be able to do that. I'll tell you that there is there's a different kind of background voice acting that occurs in this town that's not dubbing. Any TV show you watch, if there's crowd scenes, there are actors who go into a studio and record those crowd scenes, and they get paid really well because most of it is union stuff. There's union stuff now in dubbing, but it didn't start out to be. It started out all non-union, and the pay was awful. And now it's much better. There's actually a union contract for dubbing. But there is a full union contract for people that go in and do background voices, and it's called looping. And they go in and do all these background voices and sweeten the scenes on all your shows that you watch. Anything like that. And they actually get paid a Screen Actors Guild day rate, which is a lot of money. And I know people that have made a fortune doing this, and they never appear on camera. They just go into the studio and do background walla is what they call it.
Yeah,
they're also there to do occasional call out lines, or if somebody, maybe they need a phone operator in a scene to say what is your emergency or something like that. When they have that and it's off camera like that, they'll just have a group of people come in, a walla group, and they'll have them record that line, and they get paid like a regular on-camera actor. So my cat has just arrived and decided that he wants to sit on my lap.
Well,
he wants to participate.
Well, we're almost winding down. I think we're going down to our last 3 questions.
All right.
For my next question, I want to ask you, what emotion do you find hard to portray while voice acting?
Well, the hardest thing for anybody is crying and stuff. Okay. I mean, getting mad or getting sad or laughing or anything like that pretty much comes natural to most people. But the crying and the hysteria sometimes, that's usually the hardest stuff to do. I mean, to sound very natural while you're crying, that's hard. It's hard for anybody.
For sure.
Yeah, some of the best actors I know are able to just turn it on, turn it off. I don't know how they do it.
Well, you got another one, Kevin?
Yeah, for my final one, what would your advice be to one of your characters if they were a real person?
Get out of anime. Get into live action stuff. If you were a real person. Actually, you know what we get asked all the time is, how do I get into voice acting? How do I get into this work? I don't go to any convention where somebody doesn't come up and ask that. A lot of people are very interested in this, and they just want participate in it. And my advice always to anybody that's trying to get into this is take class. Go to acting classes, because not only will you get to exercise the muscle, as it were, you'll learn tricks of the trade, and you'll actually do scenes where you have to prepare, and that's invaluable. But the other thing that happens in class is you make connections, you meet people, and networking. That's just the name of the game. That's always been part of what goes on in Hollywood in trying to get work. I can't tell you how many times I've had a friend call up and say, "Hey, they're having auditions over here at blah blah blah. You call up and see if you can get in." And when we were starting out doing this, it helped a lot. I used to get jobs because I'd call up and say, "I understand you're having auditions. I was wondering if I could come in." And they say, "Yeah, well, then you schedule me," and maybe I'd get the job. Networking is extremely important. So that's what I tell people. Take class. It's really good for you.
And for my next question, I want to ask you, can you tell us how important it is to have a good support system behind you in a field like this, and why having a support system has helped you get to as far as you have?
I think I just explained that, because of the networking and stuff. The support system is extremely important in our business.
Is anybody you would like to shout out that's been good support system for you?
They're all dead. I'm the only one that's still alive. No,
well, you outlast them,
No. My support system has been around for a while. My wife has been an incredible support. She was there at the beginning. I met her doing a play, and over the years, I've been able to help her get work. She's been able to help me get work, and then friends of ours. We would all make friends and socialize together, and we'd all hear about stuff, as it came up. So that's sort of how it works. People think there's some secret to all this. There's not really a secret. You just got to be a nice person and go out there and mingle.
Are you friends with Terrence Stone, the voice of Mayuri?
I am.
I had recently had him on, and he was. And y'all both are kind of in that similar age group. And he really surprised me with some of the voices that he was able to pull out during our interview, and still able to kind of hit those baby sounds and stuff like that. So
yes, he can. When I started out, I could get up in here. I could do those kind of voices. It's not so easy now because I'm just too darn old. So it's easier for me to, be Shunsui in this voice, and to get older and older as time goes on. Terry had a very flexible voice, still does, still has there were guys that I knew that really didn't have a big flexible voice, but they were able to make a living just doing the voices that they did. It was a narrow range, but there was a demand for the voices. So, why not? If you can do it and not kill yourself doing it, sure.
And for my last question, I want to ask you is, what ambitions or goals do you have yet to fulfill in the field of voice acting? What's some stuff you would still want to do?
That's a hard question, actually, because I am, as I said, I'm semi-retired. So I've done a lot of stuff over the years. I can't say that I accomplished, reached all of my goals. Nobody ever does, I don't think, particularly as an actor. Maybe Gene Hackman did, maybe Marlon Brando did, maybe Robert Redford has, I don't know. But most of us, as actors, are always hoping for the next thing that catches on. I'd love to get another character that was as popular as Shunsui or as the Hokage or something. And it could happen, I don't know. It could happen. But I don't lose sleep over it, because I've accomplished a certain amount of stuff, and I'm happy with what I've done. And the fans seem to like it. They come to the conventions. They seem very happy to meet me. They almost all want you to do the voice, though. You don't just sign that. You got to do the voice.
So is there like no Disney films or like Pixar films? I know sometimes that be some people's goals. They like, yeah, I just want to make it so I can get into a Disney movie or a Pixar film or something like that.
Over the years, I can't tell you off the top of my head because I haven't. Again, there's too many credits. I couldn't tell you for sure which ones I've done, but I have done some of those movies. As voice people, not leads or anything like that. Most of the Disney stuff, they hire stars to do on-camera stars to do their voices because they know they can advertise them. They can get mileage out of them. I mean, why are they going to give me the job if they can hire, somebody that's been on a network TV show or a movie star? And the actors, they enjoy doing different kinds of things, so they'll go out and do voiceover stuff just to get the experience of trying it. I've heard about some actors who really I never thought would do voiceover, but they're in Disney movies, for heaven's sakes, doing voiceover. It's fun, and in major movies like that, they don't always do them one actor at a time. They will bring in several actors.
Okay.
Even now, because it doesn't bother them if it's going to take a little longer. They like the interaction between the actors. They get a better, more natural performance out of them, and they've got the money. The stuff I was doing, they were doing it on a thin budget, but Disney movie, they don't care.
All right.
Yeah.
Is there any more questions, Kevin? Do you have?
No, I'm good on my end.
All right. Steve, do you have a question for me or Kevin before we wrap up?
How much am I getting paid for this? Never mind. No, it was fun. I enjoyed talking to you guys.
Appreciate it.
I'm glad you were prepared. You had stuff in mind that you wanted to talk about, so that's great.
Before we wrap up, I just want to ask, is it possible if I can have you in your Kyoraku voice, can you basically just invite the people to listen to the Raysean Gadson Anime Podcast?
Absolutely. This is Shunsui Kyoraku, and I'm telling you right now, listen to the Raysean Gadson Podcast. It's important. It's fun. It'll entertain you. Me and Anao listen to it all the time.
Thanks, man. That's going to be playing on every episode now.
All right, guys. I enjoyed talking to you. And my cat says hi.
Before we go, I just want to thank my guests for coming on and basically give you your props for bringing some of our favorite characters to life. And with that,
before I go, can I do some shameless advertising?
You can go ahead.
I'll tell you some conventions I'm going to be at. April 12th and 13th, I'm going to be at Anime Nia in Fresno, the Fresno Fairgrounds. June 6th, 7th, and 8th, I'm going to be at Nostalgia Con in Anaheim. August 22nd, 23rd, 24th, I'll be at Nostalgia Con in Houston, for those who are interested. September 13th and 14th at Chaoticon in LaPorte, Indiana. I don't know where that is. It's up near the tip of Indiana, at the north end. September 21st, I'll be in Dallas at the Spinners Disabled Market. And October 31st through November 2nd at NecoCon in Virginia Beach, Virginia. So there, my shameless advertising for what stuff is coming up. Conventions you can go. Come on out. I'll sign your stuff. I'll meet you. We'll have fun.
And with that, we end today's episode. I want to thank my guests for coming on and chatting it up with me. I had a lot of fun and learned more about the industry of voice acting, and hopefully you listeners did too. And before we close out, I just want to allow my guests the opportunity to plug themselves. Basically, tell everybody your social media, where they can reach you at.
Actually, this is terrible. I'm not a big social media person. I think I'm on Instagram.
Okay.
Maybe on Facebook, but I don't post regularly. So sorry, guys. Come on and meet me in person at the conventions.
I'll post all his stuff below, and hopefully you guys reach out and be able to talk to the third Hokage.
Hey.
Peace.
Thank you all. We'll see you sometime.